Tony, here's the question that nobody can answer. Only time will tell. Is this an end of an era? Has this rivalry flipped? Or I'm going to cite two rivalries out there. So there are rivalries all over the place that are lopsided historically that will always be that way, or seemingly. Oregon State would be one. But I'm talking about two rivalries that should be, at least in the modern times, closer. You got, but there is an obvious hammer and nail situation between Alabama and Auburn. Even though they play close games, Alabama is clearly the program in the SEC. Oklahoma State. Well, those games have not been, or those series, as dominant as Ohio State and Michigan. But that team that's dominant but still loses more frequently than Ohio State still maintains dominance. So could this be just a blip, to take the positive tenor on this, just a blip on the radar? It was going to happen at some point, but Ohio State's going to continue to march on.
So you're asking me if the end of the world is nigh, or is this simply 2003 or 2011? I think it's.
We're waiting to hear, Tony. Yes, the world is waiting for your answer.
I think you look at the recruiting, and Ohio State is still on a different level than Michigan in terms of recruiting, the overall depth and the overall talent. So I don't see this. I don't think Ohio State will continue to win 8 in a row, or 11 of 12 like that. That shouldn't happen. That's what happens in this series, though. It fluctuates. Sometimes, Michigan is 10-2-1. Other times, Ohio State is 17-1 or whatever it is over the last 20 years. That's not normal. To get the better of a rival, you should win 6 out of 10. That way, like six times in a decade, you've got bragging rights over the decade, or even splitting. That way, at least you haven't given up bragging rights. At least you're not getting talked down to. But this is going to be something for Ryan Day. They all now finally know what Michigan has felt, and they've only felt it once. So is once enough to stop everything? Now, the good news is Ohio State plays at home next year against Michigan, and you should always defend your home turf, and you'll be better suited to win that game doing it at home. So I think for me, that's one way that this can be put to a stop immediately, as you play at home. 2, Ohio State was pretty young this year. They're going to return a lot of talent. I don't think Aiden Hutchinson is coming back next year. Michigan has no replacement for him in the pipeline, and they've got some other seniors that they're going to lose. And, so I think Ohio State is better next year. I don't know that I can say the same thing for Michigan. And then Michigan also has to play in Ohio Stadium. So I think that's going to be bad news for them. But also, like, Jim Harbaugh should be winning 2 of 5. Like, win your home games against Ohio State 2 out of every 3 attempts. You should be winning. It is a rivalry game. You should be winning it. You shouldn't be the nail to the hammer. So I don't think anything is flipped. But now there's a lot of pressure on Ryan Day, because he's 1-1 against Michigan, because last year's game Michigan declined to play, so there was no outcome from that one. So now Ryan Day is on the verge of next year he has to win, or else he has a losing record against Michigan, which is crazy to think, given where these two programs have been since he got here and since Jim Harbaugh arrived. So I think people can calm down. Unless they lose again next year, then go crazy.
Tony mentioned recruiting, Kevin. When I think Ohio State recruiting, I think you. So do you think, and this is the impossible question again, we'll have no idea, do you think this significantly in any way impacts recruiting, the result of this game?
No. I mean, no, but it doesn't hurt Ohio State, in my opinion. I think it might help Michigan a little bit, but Michigan isn't recruiting against Ohio State. They're not recruiting the same kids. So maybe Michigan lands every kid in Massachusetts now. I mean, because that seems to be where they're recruiting. I think it gives them a little bit more street cred, a little bit more validity with some of the kids that they're going after. but I don't think Michigan is going to come into the state of Ohio and suddenly start getting every Desmond Howard, Charles Woodson, Mario Manningham type of situation. We're not going to see that happen anytime soon, especially after one game. With Michigan going and recruiting in the Southeast, I mean, maybe it makes it a little bit more viable for them just because, while players, their ultimate goal is to get to the league, whether that's, winning, going 12-0 each season or going 9-3, nobody wants to be on the wrong end, wants to be that nail to the hammer in a rivalry game. But I don't see a situation of where Ohio State takes a direct step back based on just the outcome of the game. Now, if Ohio State suddenly decides to completely reshuffle the coaching staff and has no continuity going into December 15th, the early signing period, you could see a temporary blip on Ohio State's recruiting radar because players want to know who it is that they're going to be playing for. And you don't sign up for a school necessarily because of the head coach. You sign up because of the position coach, because that's who you spend the most of your time with. You're not, unless you're a quarterback, or maybe at least on the offensive side of the ball, sans the line, you're not spending a ton of time with Ryan Day. You want to know who your guy is going to be. So the way that this could hurt Ohio State is if they sit there and just make a snap decision to make all of these changes without having a plan in place. So you need to have a plan. And my phone is blown up since the game, during the game. XYZ coach needs to go, blah, 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 blah. So who are you hiring? I don't know, but they just need to go. Well, say goodbye to your class. If you do that, you better have a plan in place.